The birthday
Janae,
buddies. I know y'all were partying.
Yeah. We had parties for the little ones yesterday.
Yes.
So I know I'm a little ashamed because I had to. Not ashamed, but my little one got sick a couple weeks ago when the party was there. Ramona was supposed to be there, and then we had to have dueling parties.
Man, I should roll by next time.
Next time. Do it. All right, let's get back to what happened with the Lakers and Warriors preseason debut on Saturday night. LeBron was plus 14 in 17 minutes of game action, and AD was plus 13 in 18 minutes. Lakers fans aren't the only ones who left Chase Center impressed by the LeBron-AD combo. Take a look at what D'Angelo Russell told our Nick Friedel. Here's the tweet from Nick. It's different. It's different seeing all those big guys on the floor at the same time. LeBron playing point alongside those dudes. It's cool. It looks like a fantasy team or something. Is D'Angelo calling Bron and AD a fantasy team BS or real talk? I'm going to go real talk right there.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Go ahead, Janae.
I'm not going to lie. I know you're not supposed to look at the numbers for preseason games, but I was looking at the numbers, and it's kind of scary. I'm not going to lie, because AD with 22 points, JaVale and AD combined for 23 rebounds, and then on top of it, Dwight comes in and gives you 9 and 9, and then we're not even talking about LeBron James giving you 15 and 8 assists. I mean, only 3 rebounds, but I mean, it
don't matter. He needs to be there.
Okay, so listen, that was not a preseason game. That was the Lakers who had spent 4 months having everybody take shots at them, trying to keep their mouths shut, trying not to say anything. And you heard LeBron at Media Day say, like, I'm somebody who's not supposed to talk about it, I'm supposed to be about it. That's what they were doing. They were being about it. That was not, they were playing hard in that game.
Yeah, I would agree with Ramona. I think that this is a show of force. Is that they want to show off their arsenal here, and they did with Anthony Davis particularly. And I think it's important for the Lakers to kind of set that tone early, because it felt like last season at times, and Ramona, you and I talked about this a lot, right? Like there was this kind of strange approach to the season. LeBron took a very similar tack to what he did in the Eastern Conference, and he noticed very quickly with the group he was surrounded by that probably wasn't the right tack to take to kind of roll into the season. It looks like he's ready to go right out of the gate.
Look, he's got a guy who's on his level. He's got a running mate now. Whether you want to call him Batman or Robin, whatever this duo is here, I think AD's going to probably outscore him this year just based on the way LeBron was setting him up, and everybody was setting him up. But this is a scary duo, and LeBron had a young group. Like, he couldn't necessarily play with them, coach them, push them the way that he and Anthony Davis already have that level and that basis.
Well, Janae, if you remember, LeBron said last year when asked about how he bonded with his teammates, he said, well, my kids like some of the same things they like, so I could understand where they come from in this regard.
This is a little different, though, because when you have AD, it's not about, like, those kids idolize AD, too.
Yeah.
So, like, it's a respect factor. You alluded to it. AD could be probably statistically the best player on the Lakers, but the fact that LeBron can also give you assists, and then defensively you'll have Danny Green, and then knocking down, like, this team, if they play to their potential, and more importantly, if they play defense, they will be a powerhouse.
Yeah, the defense to me is the part I want to see what it looks like in the regular season, because you can be all gung-ho and want to play defense and say you want to play defense, but at the end of the day, you have to be able to execute and be willing to do that. And LeBron has made a business decision over the years, one I agree with, to not necessarily go all out early on, particularly on that side of the floor, because he wants to be ready for when it matters the most. I get it.
Like, you see that TV pro right there? She just looked at the camera and said, if they play defense.
It's like a subliminal. It's a subliminal.
No, it's true, though. It is true. All right, let's switch gears to discuss the Blazers, who signed Dame and CJ to big contract extensions over the summer. The Oregonian spoke to CJ recently and asked him if he expects Portland to follow the trend of load management after the success that Toronto had in limiting Kawhi's minutes last season. CJ said, quote, "We're not some big super team. I don't think we have the luxury to sit out, especially with how competitive the West is going to be. The race in the Western Conference is extremely tight. I don't know if we can afford to Kawhi it, so to speak. You'll Kawhi your way out of the playoffs." Is this BS or real talk?
Trademark it.
So good.
Yeah, it is absolutely. Go ahead.
I mean, that is CJ shade right there.
He's so surgical.
And I think I've heard other guys in the NBA have this conversation. Like, they take pride in being able to play all 82. And when Kawhi has been load managed the way that he has,
but rightfully so, because of injury.
Rightfully so, yes. But that is a point of pride for guys like CJ and Dame who are going to go the other way on it and play every single game. Plus, it's also positioning the Blazers, who in a lot of ways are one of the West's most cohesive teams that have come back from. They mostly returned their team intact. They should be considered a team that knows what it's doing out on the court. That's their way of saying, oh, we're still the underdogs.
But Dame and CJ, they're right. They do carry a tremendous load because outside of Yusuf Nurkic, who gave you like about 15, 16 points per game, no one else was in double figures. And let's look at this. Like the amount of miles that these two run, they're both top 5 in the league in miles, like 1.55 miles per game, 1.47 miles per game. This is why you see CJ say, I'm not going to Team USA. Because he knows he has to be conservative, especially in the offseason, because his load is larger. You know what I mean? When it comes to basketball and him running and being that versatile scoring threat alongside Dame. So I get what he's saying, but there's always like another level of shade and surgical nature to what CJ says, and I enjoy it.
You know what's interesting is that all the analytics types, whether it's 538 or the different projections, nylon calculus, I believe. I don't want to lump them in because I haven't seen their projections for this season, but I've seen the 538 ones year after year after year, and it generally underrates the Blazers for whatever reason from a talent perspective. This year, their makeup is different. They used to be loaded on the wings. Like they had those kind of stretch 4 type guys. They don't really have those stretch 4s now anymore. They have a bigger team in this era. They've added Hassan Whiteside. But I do think their chemistry, Dame and CJ's chemistry, as long as they're healthy, allows them to be able to overachieve because they're so familiar with each other. I am curious to see how the Whiteside thing plays out because Whiteside can give you 20 and 20 on any given night, but then unfortunately he's also capable of giving you a 5 and 5 and pouting, right? So Dame and CJ wanted to bring Hassan in while Nurkic is dealing with his injury, and that to me is a really interesting point to kind of focus on when it comes to the Blazers.
Yeah, that was their big move, and it's kind of on them to make it work.
Yeah.
I mean, that is when you vouch for somebody, that's your word now,
right.
too.
Yeah, and Terry Stotts also deserves a ton of credit for them kind of having the success that they've had, certainly over the years. All right, speaking of Dame, Shaq just dropped another diss track about Dame. They've already gone through a few rounds here, but in this last installment, Shaq went at Dame's shot selection, saying, quote, "You shoot too much. Dudes on your team hate it." Is this BS or real talk? I'm going to go BS on this one.
Me too.
Yeah.
Come on, like Shaq actually was winning me over last week because I thought his argument where he just points at his the number of rings he has, throw it back to the most dominant ever.
Shrapnel at Trevor Ariza all of a sudden.
Saying that, like, look, I'm the first one who paved this road for you. Those are good arguments. But taking a shot at Dame's shot selection, I feel like I just transported back to when he used to beef with Kobe. I mean, like, did we just go back and relive that?
Yeah, no, it's just funny because, first of all, Dame is killing it. Like, I love this frame when I go away. I mean, Shaq sounds great, but, like, Dame is doing it for the current culture. And I'm here for you. I'm Team Adidas, 3-stripe life. So, but when it comes to Dame and this rap battle, it's cool. But I think it's all surface level. It's all surface level. I don't know if Shaq really means, like, to really go for the jugular. Oh, you shoot too many shots. Like, who cares? He went bye in the playoffs, and that's what was iconic. So,
well, and I think Shaq's point is you went bye when it matters most, right? Like, that's kind of what his position has been in this. Look, I think it's fantastic for both, but I'm with you. Shaq may have had some deeper cuts because at the end of the day, as Ramona pointed out, he's got rings and finals MVPs and all that stuff. But Dame's flow is incredible.
Dame is the wave.
Incredible.
And Dame doesn't hide behind the puppet either.
No.
Nope.
The puppet.
The puppet's, I don't know, I kind of like the puppet.
Maybe Shaq was mad because he didn't get the puppet action when Kobe and LeBron were getting the puppet action. You know? Big fella, come on, man. We love you. You know it's all just love. Both of them are making it fun at least this offseason, for sure. All right, Michael Porter Jr. sat out his entire rookie season while recovering from injuries suffered during his one college season. Porter was the top player in his high school class and was drafted 14th overall by the Nuggets despite the injury concerns. Here's what Michael said about finding playing time on their stacked roster. MPJ told the Denver Post, "It's just going to take me being mature because we have such a great team already. And I'm a first-year player. I don't know everything that's going on. I probably won't get a huge role that I wanted off the bat, but every player started slow. Look at Kawhi." So let me ask you this. Like, what are your expectations, I guess, on Michael Porter Jr.? Well, you know what? Let's do this first. BS or real talk on his role? Let's do it.
I'll go real
first.
talk. Oh, really?
Oh.
I don't think it's like BS, but it's sort of like you've been around the organization for a while. You can learn what the systems are. Like I've had years where I've been injured and I've been able to stay with the team, and that was everything for me because I was learning the system. I was involved in the locker room. So like, yeah, I understand. Like you want to talk about your role. You want to talk about your influence in the game. You semi want to compare yourself to Kawhi in a weird way. You know what I mean? Which is true when Kawhi started with San Antonio. But at the end of the day, for me, I just feel like, okay, let's see you play. Like getting healthy, the number one availability, like the best ability is availability, right? Like get on the court and fight and grind with your guys, understand the culture, learn, and then everything will fall into place. So that's why I'm just sort of like, walk the walk before you sort of talk the talk just a little bit.
Well, I mean, look, Kobe didn't start his first year with the Lakers. Like people forget that. That was a long time ago, but he came off the bench. It's partly why Del Harris got fired. But, I take what you're saying personally because you had to accept a lesser role this year on Sparks.
Yeah.
Coming off the bench.
Yeah, no, I did. And, to me, it was all about building that championship culture, learning from people that have won it and have won champions and like championships. And like for me, it's funny you allude to this because when you're a young player trying to find their way, it's difficult. But me as a veteran, I have a unique perspective. Like this is a decision I'm making for my future, right? But for him, it's sort of like you just have to immerse yourself in the grind. So like, you just have to immerse yourself. Yeah. You have to get on the court. You have to be out there. You have to be healthy. And I think he's going to have a tremendous year. He has a tremendous upside.
Yeah.
But that comes with playing first and being there for your teammates and learning and building that chemistry.
Sinead, to your point, though, you can learn while you're sitting out. I mean, Blake Griffin, Ramona, you remember, I mean, he missed his first season completely due to injury. And then when he was plugged in, like he was ready to go.
Yeah, it was like a red shirt year for him.
Yeah, and we've seen that.
That's what we hope to expect.
Right, and I think that, so it is possible to learn while you're not necessarily playing. Now, look, real experience, on-court experience is going to be the greatest factor. Yeah. Right, for sure. I don't think that we should just dismiss that part. But, yeah, he should still be involved in what they're doing. So what do you expect his role to be?
I think he gets brought along slowly because, as Jay said, you're joining a team that was the best in the Western Conference. Like, right. I mean, one of the best. And
probably will be near the top again.
He's got to learn where he fits in and where his role is gonna establish. Now, they're counting on him. They're counting on him for the outside shooting. They're counting on him to give them a spark. But they don't need him, because they didn't need him last year. And I think that hurts the ego. And there's so many times in life where, like, every once in a while it just gets in there and hits your ego, and then you just got to check yourself. You call your friends, you go, wait, is this real or is this just my ego talking?
And then you wonder, like, why am I doing this? Well, you're doing this to be great. Like, that's the exact same thing. I'm coming here, playing on the Sparks on the bench, but you know what? I'm doing this to learn, to win a championship, to be great.
But here's what I would say. I do think they need him if they want to be a championship team.
Okay. 100%.
I think that if they want to be a championship team, they need a wing player, because generally wing players dominate in this sport. So I do think there is some room for him there potentially. Maybe not right now, to your point, Ramona, but I think long term they're absolutely going to need him as far as championship expectations are concerned. All right.